The ranch is quiet, almost too quiet. The sound of wind moves through the open fields, and the horses shift restlessly in their stalls. It is just another morning at Heartland, yet something feels different. The kind of different that makes your chest tighten before you even know why. Amy bends to brush the dust from her mare's coat, while her daughter Lindy hums softly beside her, lost in the rhythm of caring for her pony. Life has settled into a routine without Ty, a routine built on love but also on loss. And then, without warning, the silence of the morning is broken by the low growl of an engine rolling up the dirt road. A sound that should be familiar but feels almost ghostly. Lindy's head shoots up. Amy freezes. The camera would cut to the driveway, and there it is. Ty's old truck, the one that has not touched this land in years. The world seems to stop in that moment. The sound of tires crunching gravel draws closer until the truck stops in the yard. The door creaks open and a man steps out. His movements are slow, heavy, like each step carries the weight of 1,000 days. The camera does not show his face, only his boots on the dirt, his hand gripping the door, the shadow that falls across the ranch yard. Lindy is the first to move. Her small voice breaks through the heavy silence. "Mom," she whispers, "is that Dad?" Her tone is not filled with fear, but with a desperate hope that feels too big for her young heart. Amy cannot answer. Her breath catches, her hand slips, and the brush she was holding clatters to the ground. Her eyes are locked on the figure, unable to turn away, unable to believe what they are seeing. The man takes another step forward. His jeans are worn, his jacket faded, as if he has been living on the edge of nowhere. The sound of the wind mixes with the soft creak of leather as he moves closer. The horses lift their heads, sensing the tension that hangs in the air. Lindy takes a step toward him, then stops, as if afraid the image before her might vanish if she gets too close. Amy finally speaks, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "No," she breathes, not in front of her daughter. "Not like this." The man's head tilts downward, almost in shame, almost in sorrow. He does not answer yet. He simply stands there, caught between wanting to move forward and being afraid of what waits if he does. The camera lingers on Amy's face, her expression torn apart by shock, fury, and something else she cannot admit out loud. For years she told herself this moment would never come. For years she told Lindy that her father loved her, but could not be here. Now, in the quiet of the ranch, the impossible has returned in the shape of a man she once trusted more than anyone. Lindy's voice comes again, stronger this time. "Dad," she calls, her words trembling on the edge of joy and fear. Amy reaches out quickly and holds her back, her arm wrapped protectively around her daughter. The moment is unbearable. For Amy, it is the return of every wound she buried. For Lindy, it is the rise of a dream she never dared to believe could be real. The screen fades to black for a breathless beat, leaving the audience caught in the same tension as the family they love. The yard feels frozen, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Yet in the middle of that silence, Lindy cannot stay still. Her small boots crunch against the gravel as she takes a step forward. Her hands tremble not from fear, but from the storm of emotions inside her. All her life, "Dad" was a word she only whispered to photographs, to bedtime stories, to fading memories her mother painted with love and sorrow. Now that word is standing right in front of her, in the shape of a man who looks both familiar and foreign at the same time. The camera would focus on Lindy's eyes, wide, searching, trying to find the pieces of the father she dreamed about in this stranger's shadow. Her chest rises and falls quickly, and she bites her lip as if afraid to speak again. If she says his name too loudly, maybe he will disappear. Amy's arm holds her back for a moment longer, but Lindy pulls gently away. There is something unstoppable in the way children move when their hearts lead them. She takes another step closer. Her voice comes out soft but steady. "Are you really my dad?" She does not say it with suspicion. She says it with hope that is almost painful to hear. The man kneels slightly, not daring to come closer without her choice. His head hangs as though he carries years of silence on his shoulders. He does not answer with words, not yet. Instead, his hand lifts, shaking, pausing in midair. Lindy studies that hand. For a long time, she has seen it only in old photos. She takes one more step forward, her eyes fixed not on his face but on that trembling hand. Slowly, hesitantly, she places her own small fingers into his. The moment is fragile. Lindy's touch is trusting, innocent, yet uncertain. Her heart races, but her eyes soften. She whispers again, almost to herself, "You came back." Her words fall into the cold air like a prayer answered too late, and yet still answered. Amy watches, her face breaking under the weight of the moment. She does not step in, does not stop it, but her body is tense, her jaw tight. She knows what this means for her daughter. Hope can be the most dangerous thing of all, and she is terrified of what happens if it is crushed again. Lindy, however, feels only the present. She stares at the man who has returned from the edges of her imagination into her reality. For her, the years of waiting do not matter in this instant. What matters is that he is here, and she does not want to let go. She clutches his hand tighter, her small voice trembling but full of determination. "Please don't leave again." The screen would linger here, on the contrast between a child's pure faith and a mother's guarded fear. The wind sways the ranch trees, the horses shift restlessly, and the weight of unspoken promises fills the space. The return of a father has already changed everything, and yet the real test has only just begun. The barn has always been Amy's safe place, the heart of her healing, the space where broken horses and broken people alike could find peace. But now, standing in the doorway with her daughter's hand still wrapped in the man's, the barn feels like a battlefield. Every wall seems to echo with old memories of laughter, whispered promises, and the quiet comfort of someone she once believed would never leave. And yet he did. Amy's chest tightens as she watches Lindy cling to him. The sight cuts her deeper than she imagined. Part of her wants to shout, to pull Lindy away and build a wall around her little girl's heart. Another part aches at the sight, because despite everything, some small hidden piece of Amy still remembers the warmth of that same hand holding hers in the darkest nights. Her voice finally breaks the silence, low but sharp. "You don't get to walk back in like nothing happened." The words hang heavy, her tone not of anger alone but of betrayal carved over years. She steps forward, closing the space between them, her eyes locked on him though her hands tremble at her sides. The man lowers his gaze, the weight of guilt heavy in his posture. He opens his mouth but no words come, only silence thick with regret. Amy presses on, her voice rising, not for herself but for the little girl now looking up at them with wide, uncertain eyes. "Do you have any idea what it's been like raising her to believe you loved her while you were gone every single day? She never stopped asking for you. Not once." Her words tremble, but each one strikes like a hammer. The barn grows colder in the pause that follows. Lindy looks between them, her small face caught in confusion, not understanding why love sounds so much like pain. Amy turns away for a moment, her breath shaking. Her eyes land on the horses in their stalls, steady and calm, grounding her. She whispers almost to herself, "I promised her she was enough even without you." And she has been. She has always been. But when Amy turns back, her voice shifts. Beneath the anger, beneath the pain, there is something softer, more dangerous. The flicker of the love that never truly died. Her eyes betray her. For just a heartbeat, she sees not the man who left, but the man who once stood beside her in everything. That vision is what terrifies her most. The camera would hold on her face, torn apart by contradiction. Anger, grief, longing, fear. They all live there at once. She cannot forgive, not yet, maybe not ever, but neither can she deny the truth of what stands before her. The father of her child, the partner she once trusted with her whole heart. Amy steps back, shaking her head, her voice breaking. "Don't make her believe in you if you can't stay. Don't do that to her. Don't do that to us." The barn falls silent again, the tension raw and unhealed. The camera lingers on Amy's tear-filled eyes before slowly shifting to the man, who still says nothing, as though every word has been stolen by the weight of his mistakes. The sound of boots on gravel breaks the standstill in the barnyard. Jack has been watching from a distance, the brim of his old hat low over his eyes, his arms crossed against the chill. He doesn't rush forward, He never does. Jack has lived long enough to know that some storms don't need a man charging into them. They need a man to stand firm and steady until the winds calm. Still, the look on his face is clear. Relief battles distrust, hope wrestles with anger. Jack once welcomed this man as family, trusted him with the most precious people in his life. And now, watching him step back onto this land after years of silence, Jack's heart is heavy with the question, can he ever be trusted again? Lou arrives next, pulling her coat tight around her as she comes up the steps. She stops when she sees him, her mouth falling open in shock. The sound of her keys dropping onto the wooden porch echoes sharp in the quiet. She looks at Amy first, then Lindy, and finally at the man standing in the center of it all. Her voice cuts through the tension like a blade. What is he doing here? Amy doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. Lou can read it all in her sister's eyes. The pain, the confusion, the walls breaking down even as Amy tries to hold them up. Lou's anger rises fast, protective and fierce. She steps closer, pointing a finger at the man she once called her brother-in-law. You don't get to show up and put her through this again. Either of them. Lindy looks up at her aunt, torn between wanting to defend the man she's only just met and not wanting to upset her mother. Her small voice trembles but pushes through. Aunt Lou, he's my dad. The innocence of her words freezes everyone in place. Jack finally steps forward then, slow and deliberate. His voice is gravelly, calm but heavy with meaning. Lindy, sweetheart, sometimes being a dad isn't about showing up. It's about staying. He lets his words sink into the silence, not looking at Lindy but at the man whose return has shaken them all. Jack's eyes are steady, his jaw set. You left once. Why should we believe you won't leave again? The weight of Jack's question hangs in the air. Lou stands rigid, her arms folded, her anger barely restrained. Amy looks torn apart, struggling between her own scars and her daughter's fragile hope. Lindy clutches her mother's hand tighter, looking up with wide eyes, as though waiting for someone to say, "This will all be okay." The man still doesn't answer. His silence is both his guilt and his punishment. Around the family, the ranch seems to breathe with them. The creak of the porch, the distant whinny of a horse, the sound of wind moving through the trees. Everything feels like it's waiting. The dinner table comes that evening. The family gathered, the air thick with tension. No laughter, no easy conversation. Only the clinking of cutlery and the weight of unsaid words. Lindy tries to break the silence with questions, her young heart reaching for connection. But every answer feels forced, strained. The family is together, but broken in every direction. The camera would hold on their faces, Jack's wary eyes, Lou's clenched jaw, Amy's guarded stare, Lindy's desperate hope. Four people bound by love but divided by wounds. And at the center of it all, the man whose return has reopened every scar. Night falls heavy over Heartland. The ranch that usually glows with warmth at sunset now feels colder, darker, as though even the land itself doesn't know how to hold this new reality. The dinner plates have been cleared away, but the silence lingers like smoke after a fire. The family has scattered to their corners of the house, each carrying their own storm. Amy steps outside into the open night. The stars stretch endless above her. The same stars she used to look at beside him, dreaming about the future they were going to build. She crosses her arms, rubbing against the chill, though it is not the cold that makes her shiver. It is the memories. Every promise whispered under these skies comes rushing back. Every night she stood alone wishing for the impossible. And now the impossible stands in her barn again. Her thoughts unravel in fragments. He's here. He left. He's Lindy's father. He broke us. He came back. She whispers these pieces to herself, as though saying them out loud will somehow make sense of the chaos in her chest. But it doesn't. The questions burn deeper. Why now? Why after all this time? And what does he expect from her? The sound of footsteps on the porch pulls her from her thoughts. They are softer this time, hesitant, careful, as though the man knows he is entering sacred ground. Amy does not turn. She keeps her eyes on the stars, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. Still, his presence is unmistakable. The air itself feels heavier with him standing only a few feet away. For a long time, neither speaks. The night hums around them, the call of an owl, the rustle of trees, the faint shuffle of horses in the distance. Finally, his voice comes, low and rough, broken by years of silence. "I never stopped loving you." Amy's breath catches, but she doesn't let him see. Her eyes close tight, tears threatening but held back. She answers with words sharp as glass. "Love isn't leaving when you're needed most. Love isn't disappearing without a word. Don't stand here and pretend you get to claim that word anymore." Her voice trembles but does not crack. The stars above blur through her tears, but her stance stays firm. He tries again, softer this time. "Every day away was punishment. Every breath without you and Lindy. Hell, it wasn't living." Amy finally turns, her face lit by the pale moonlight. The anger in her eyes is fierce, but beneath it something flickers. A spark of the woman who once believed him completely. That is what terrifies her most, that a part of her still wants to believe. Before she can respond, the sound of a small voice cuts the night. From the upstairs window, Lindy leans out, her hair tumbling around her face, her eyes wide and shining. "Please stay, Dad." Her words float through the darkness like a prayer, like a demand, like the purest truth a child can speak. Amy's heart clenches. The man looks up, his eyes glistening in the starlight. For a moment, the world seems to hold still again, as if waiting for her answer, for their choice, for the future that hangs between forgiveness and another wound. The screen fades slowly to black, the music swelling, leaving the night full of questions that no one is ready to answer. The night stretches long after Lindy's voice fades into the dark. The house is quiet, but it is not the kind of quiet that soothes. It is the heavy quiet that follows an earthquake, when everything still stands but nothing feels steady anymore. Inside, Amy tucks Lindy into bed. The little girl clings to her mother's hand, her eyes shining with the fragile light of hope. "He came back, Mom. He's really here." Her voice carries a joy Amy cannot bring herself to share. Amy brushes the hair from her daughter's forehead, forcing a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Rest now, sweetheart. Tomorrow will make more sense." But even as she says it, she knows tomorrow will only bring harder questions. Downstairs, Jack sits at the kitchen table, the lamp casting a warm glow over his weathered face. His hands rest on the worn wood, his coffee untouched, his eyes distant. He has seen this before. Men who leave, men who regret, men who return when it's already too late. He wants to protect Amy and Lindy, but he also knows he cannot fight their battles for them. He mutters under his breath, half to himself, half to the empty room. A man's word is only worth what he's willing to keep. Lou paces in the living room, arms crossed tight against her chest. She is fire where Amy is water. Her anger burns fast, sharp, protective. She sees the risk before anyone else, sees the pain waiting around the corner. To her, his return isn't hope, it's danger. She whispers fiercely to herself, "If he hurts them again, I swear I won't let it stand." Meanwhile, outside, the man sits alone on the porch steps, the cold seeping into his bones. The stars above stretch endless, indifferent to his sorrow. He rubs his hands together, as if trying to warm something that's been frozen inside him for years. His thoughts circle the same truths over and over. He left, he lost, he came back, and now he has no right to expect forgiveness. But the sound of his daughter's voice, that plea to stay, has lit a fire he cannot ignore. Amy eventually steps outside again, her arms wrapped around herself. She does not look at him at first. She stands at the edge of the porch, her eyes locked on the dark horizon. When she finally speaks, her voice is low, almost breaking. "She doesn't understand what it cost me to keep her believing in you." Every night, she asked. "Every night I told her you loved her. Do you know what that did to me? To keep your promise for you when you weren't here." He doesn't answer right away. His throat tightens, words trapped by guilt. Finally, he manages, "I thought staying away was protecting you both." Amy turns on him, her eyes fierce. "Protecting us?" She shakes her head, her voice sharp with disbelief. "You call leaving protection. What you did wasn't protecting. It was abandoning." Her words slice through the night, leaving nothing but silence in their wake. The camera would hold on Amy's face, her pain raw, her strength unyielding. Then it shifts to him, sitting there, broken but unmoving, as though he knows he deserves every wound her words deliver. The porch light flickers in the night wind. Somewhere inside, Lindy stirs in her sleep, dreaming of a family she may never have. The house, the land, the people. They are all caught in the same fragile balance, each one waiting to see which way the scales will tip. The hours crawl by until the ranch is quiet again. The lights are dim, the wind has stilled, and Heartland feels like it is holding its breath. Amy sits alone in the barn, the lantern casting long shadows across the stalls. Her hands rest on her lap, but her mind will not rest. Every sound of the night carries her back to the day he left, to the tears she buried, to the strength she was forced to find. She told herself she never needed him. She told herself Lindy would be enough. But now his return has ripped those walls apart. The barn door creaks open. He steps inside, slow and uncertain. The light catches his figure, his face still hidden in shadow, but his voice carries. I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I may never earn your forgiveness, but I can't walk away again. Not from you, not from her. Amy looks at him, her jaw set, her eyes glistening with tears she refuses to let fall. Her silence is louder than words. She wants to believe him. She wants to believe that this time will be different. But her heart warns her that believing may break her all over again. From the loft above, a creak of the floorboards breaks the tension. Lindy stands there in her pajamas, clutching her blanket, her small face glowing in the lantern light. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Her eyes say everything: hope, fear, longing. She just wants her family whole. Jack appears at the barn door then, his presence steady as ever. He looks at the three of them, the mother, the father, the child, and his expression is unreadable. For a long moment, no one moves. Then he says quietly, almost like a warning, "If you're staying, then prove it. Don't just say it. Show it." The words settle heavy in the air. The man lowers his head, taking in the weight of what is being asked of him. Amy looks away, unable to let her daughter see the war in her heart. Lindy clutches the railing tighter, her small knuckles white. The camera slowly pulls back. The barn grows smaller in the frame, the family caught in the fragile space between healing and heartbreak. The lantern flickers, the shadows stretch, and the night swallows their voices. Then, just before the screen fades completely to black, Lindy's voice breaks the silence. One question, soft but piercing, carrying more power than any argument or promise. "Dad, are you really staying this time?" The screen cuts to black. No answer, only silence, leaving the audience suspended between hope and doubt, desperate for what comes next.